Next up on member profiles, we have Mark Schober, and he is with Colvin and Company. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Colvin and Company, where you're located.
We're right on Main Street. Our address is 320 East Main Street, and Colvin and Company is an alternative investment fund manager specializing in farmland and agriculture. Our website is www.colvin-co.com, and we also publish an educational blog called Farmland Forecast, which you can find at farmlandforecast.colvin-co.com.
Let's talk a little bit about commodities. I pay attention. Recently, I've seen prices are absolutely skyrocketing as of late. Why is that?
You know, it's true. Commodities have been booming over the last just few months, and wheat prices primarily have been increasing because of poor weather conditions across Eastern Europe into Russia and China, and particularly a drought has formed over there. And there have been wildfires, and they're saying production could be down as much as 30%, wheat production that is, in Russia in particular. And Russia has recently just put an export ban on wheat, and they used to be a big wheat exporter. So there's kind of this mini dilemma out there of a shortage in supply of wheat. And then also corn prices are increasing due to lower production and increased demand. And the lower production is even here in the U.S. I mean, we had a really good summer, the weather for corn, but it always seemed like the corn was maturing a little too quick out there, and it's going to turn into some yield loss. The USDA just estimated that their average production per acre here in the U.S., they just decreased that estimate from 165 bushels per acre down to 162.5, and I could see that possibly slipping a little bit more this fall. Year over year, corn prices are up 54%, and wheat prices are up 65%. Now, do I think it's going to be like 2008 where corn hit $7.50 per bushel? I can't tell you that, but I just know that the supply and demand imbalance is getting worse with time for these grains and farmland in particular.
Yeah, I recently read that China is becoming a net importer of corn. Tell me a little bit more about that.
That's true. They are now a net importer of corn. They're the most populated country in the world, and they've entered a total new era of corn purchasing. They used to be self-sufficient in corn production, and they just can't meet their demand anymore. Estimates that are coming out that they're going to import 1.7 million tons of corn in 2010. That'll go up to 5.8 million in 2011 and up to 15 million by 2014.
Why is China importing all this corn?
You know, it's their rapid growth in population and economically. It's led to their insatiable demand for grains. Economists have said that as your GDP rises, your middle class will emerge and grow larger. And as your middle class moves away from a grain-based diet to a meat-based diet, protein-based that is, it takes about 7 pounds of grain to create 1 pound of meat. And they're saying that China's middle class could reach 670 million by 2011. So that demand for grain is going to increase exponentially. China has also taken over the U.S. as the dominant meat consuming market back in 2000. The meat intake per person in 1990 in China was 25 kilograms per year per person. It went up to 53 kilograms per person in 2008.
Wow.
So it's led to China to consume 4 times as much of additional grain since 1995. It still lags behind the U.S., which is the leader at 124 kilograms per person, but since China has so many more people, it's just that much bigger.
You bet. As emerging markets develop, how much money is allocated towards food?
It's an interesting question you ask. The USDA estimated that of every new dollar spent in China, 40% is allocated to food. Now, economists have done research about income levels and how, if your income level increases, how it will change if you have high income or low income. People with lower income, their demand for goods will increase significantly more than if you had higher income increasing. For every dollar rise in income, demand grows rapidly when incomes are low and less rapidly when incomes are already high. China has an income elasticity of 0.47 and the US has one of 0.15. Historically, rises in income have led to rises in consumption of higher protein foods, which include meat, dairy, eggs, poultry products. And China's State Council predicts that China's annual GDP growth could increase by 7% per year over the next decade. So that would be their GDP per capita would be $5,900 by 2020 compared to just $4,000 per person in 2009.
Incredible. So will the U.S. benefit from China's increased consumption of this corn?
You know, I think they will. Back in the 90s, China kind of did the same thing, but with soybeans. They could not produce enough soybeans to keep up with their demand, and now that's transitioning to corn. The U.S. is the largest corn exporter in all of the world, and they export 60% of all the corn moving around the world they're responsible for. Brazil and Argentina each are responsible for about 10%. If China imports an incremental 600 million bushels of corn by 2014, and that's what the USDA baseline projections are for, that would put U.S. ending stocks at 960 million bushels. What this actually translates to is the ending stocks to use ratio of 6.3%. That would put it at the lowest level since 1995. So 2010 really is a major turning point in the grain market here. The Chinese transition to becoming a net importer of corn will have a substantial impact on the world's grain supply everywhere.
Big time. So if someone out there wants to learn more about this, maybe jump in the sandbox and play a little bit. There are some opportunities going on right now, aren't there, Mark?
Certainly. You can, like I said, visit our website or give me a call at 763-427-7991.
He is Mark Schober, and he is with Colvin and Company. Thanks for keeping us up to date. And you knew China was going to be eaten. With the amount of people that are growing there, there are some opportunities, and Mark can help you get where you want to go. Thanks, Mark.
Yep, thank you.
You bet.